Most door-to-door reps think they need this fancy pitch or they need to find really good neighborhoods to sell, but what it really comes down to is in your head. I've seen really high performing door-to-door sales reps and really low performing door-to-door sales reps. The only difference between the two is these guys, the high performers, stay in a high energy state longer than the rest. I know a lot of you guys out there have sold some deals, and those next few doors, think about it. Think of how you felt. You were confident, you were positive, you were high energy, and that translated to the next doors, and you felt that momentum, right? So how can we channel that peak energy state into throughout the entire day, which ultimately will just double our sales? Today, I'm going to be taking you through the exact 3 mental flips that I use on the doors that allows me to stay in a peak energy state all day. But the really crucial part with all 3 of these things is you have to actually be intentional. You can't do it for a few minutes. You have to do it for an extended period of time. So let's get into it. My name's Austin Ortiz. I started a window cleaning business out here in Palm Beach, Florida. We're on track to do over 7 figures this year. And we've added, in just the last couple months of doing service plans, over 150,000 in annual recurring revenue. So let's get into it. The first mindset shift is self-talk. So what does this mean? Self-talk is when you're just having a conversation with yourself and going into a spiral of positivity. We can tend to be very negative out there, so we need to only be thinking of positive things. Like, this next person's gonna buy. Oh, I'm so happy to be out here. I get to dictate how much money I make. I'm surrounded by great people. I work for this great company. I'm just so happy to be out there and alive and able to do this. It sounds easier said than done, but it takes extreme intentionality. I'll give you guys an example of this. I was out last week knocking and it got to around 3 p.m. There's about 20 doors in a row of no answers. Very easy point to get negative. Hadn't made a single sale. And what I did is I kind of took a sec, took a deep breath, and just started thinking and counting all the things I'm grateful for, and then started looking at every door like this next person's gonna buy, this next person's gonna buy. And whether that next door did actually buy or not, it got me in the frame of this person's going to buy, which made my mind more positive, and the homeowner felt that. So every door from there on out felt a shift in positive energy. So when that right buyer comes along, you don't miss them because you're in that low energy state. Self-talk is one of the hardest to master, but once you master it and you can really be intentional with it, it is one of the most powerful things I've found in door-to-door sales. So let's go on to the second one. And this is my favorite, gamifying the job. Beautiful part about door-to-door sales is no one can tell us how much money we can make. So what I do is when I'm in that peak low energy state and I've hit that wall, I start to think, okay, how many hours do I have left on the door and how much do I want to sell? So I'll give you guys an example of this. I was out last week and I got to about 2-3 hours of knocking in and I hadn't made a single sale. I was hot and I hit that low energy state. And my goal was to sell 3,000 in service plans. So that just means I had to sell 1,000 in revenue every hour for the next hour coming home. And 1,000 in revenue, that's only one service plan. So I just had to get one deal every hour coming home. And so I gamified it. Every door I was like, okay, just got to get one, right? And it was like, I just counted down the minutes of that hour and I just focused on getting that one. And then once I got one, okay, cool. We got now an hour and let's just say 15 minutes to get the second one, and so on and so forth. And then by 2.5 hours in, I had sold my 3 because every single door I had one thing at hand, and that's to sell one more service plan. So I gamified it. What gamifying the job does? Well, it makes you more money. It sounds funny, and I think it's probably my athletic nature, but it has genuinely made me the most money in door-to-door sales once you start looking at the clock as a money machine. And the third is social momentum. What this looks like is you take getting sales out of the equation. You're not focused on selling anyone. You're actually just focusing on getting the person to smile and having a good conversation with them. It diffuses a lot of pressure with yourself, especially when you hit that low energy state and you probably haven't made any sales. So you look at every door like, how can I get this person to smile? And how can I just have a casual conversation with another human being? So I'll give you guys an example of this. A couple of days ago when I was knocking, I got into that low energy state only about an hour in. It was hot. Florida's just ridiculous in the summer. And so what did I do is I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna try to sell anyone today. I'm just gonna try to have a good conversation with people and just trying to get them to smile, right? And so every single door, this is how I started off. Hey, how's it going? And I would just like be kind of moving my shirt like, it's so hot out here, and just humanize myself. And people would be like, oh yeah, I know. And then I didn't even sell them. It was more so like just being in common connection. Like, it's so hot out here. Everyone in Florida, that's all they talk about in the summer. And then next thing I know, people started looking at me like another human rather than a solicitor. And then I was just like, yeah, we're doing Bob's window cleaning. We're gonna be out here tomorrow. We're trying to fill one more spot. We're doing $100 off. When's the last time you guys had that done? And then they were just talking to me as if they were having a conversation with another human being. And what did that do? Well, it led to more sales. Ended up closing 3 service plans that day. I think it was like 3,300 in revenue. So what is the real point of all 3 of these things? Well, it's to keep energy high. Door-to-door sales is a game of, yes, selling, but more so who can keep their energy in that peak state longest, right? The guys who are really good at door-to-door sales and the guys that aren't, that's the real only difference, is these guys stay in that peak energy state longer than most. And these 3 things are the exact things that I use to stay in that peak energy state for longer. And the longer you're in that peak energy state, the more sales you're gonna get, because in door-to-door, it's all about energy. And then those first 2 seconds, that homeowner is gonna feel your energy. They're gonna feel that, does this person actually wanna be out here? Does this person actually believe what they're saying? Is this a human being, or is this another just robot in a low energy state just trying to pitch me something? When you're in that peak energy state, you're just a positive beacon of light out there, and who doesn't want to talk to someone enjoying their day? And I've seen this change firsthand. One of the guys I mentor, Brandon, he's out in Southern California, and that was something he struggled with heavily, is he would sell a lot when he was feeling good, but when he would hit this peak low energy state, he would spiral, and then he would sell nothing. So the biggest thing that he would do was gamify. That's the one thing that just struck with him. And every time he went to that peak low energy state, he just thought, okay, I got this amount of hours left on the doors and I want to sell this much. And that's all he would be thinking about for the rest of the time he was on the doors. And what's crazy is I literally saw it firsthand, from him closing about 5 to 10,000 of revenue in window cleaning to the next month closing 30,000 in personal sales. Now his business does over 50,000 of revenue each month. And it just shows you don't have to use all 3 of these things. I love the gamify, and so does Brandon. But I know a lot of guys out there that love the social momentum. And then a lot of guys out there love the self-talk. If you can utilize the one that really, really resonates with you, that's where it'll be a difference maker. And the biggest thing for all 3 is intentionality. You gotta actually try it. And not just for a couple minutes, not just for a couple doors, but every single door. When you're out there, be intentional with implementing these 3 things.